Hey there, Ryan Dossey, and in today's video, I'm going to walk you guys through a deal that we honestly really kind of messed up. I call these property autopsies, where I'll walk you through how we found the deal, how we funded the deal, our breakdown of the P&L and what went right, or in this instance, a little bit wrong. Let's dive right in. I'm as guilty as the next guy when it comes to getting excited about a new purchase, wanting to share it with you guys. I love to walk you guys through like how we found the deal, what list, what mail piece, so you can copy and replicate what's actively working for us. But it can kind of be like showing a check picture that doesn't account for all of the expenses. So I like to occasionally do these breakdowns, particularly when we miss, so you can see that A, we're not perfect, and B, that, well, this is real estate investing. It is risky. It does take time, money, effort, and it doesn't always go according to plan. So I'm going to screen share. Let's get right into this sucker. So here I am inside of our Simply account. You can see that we sat on this project for 294 days. Was not by any stretch of the imagination like what we'd forecasted for how this thing would plan out. Now, this particular deal came in through our Investor Carrot concierge site. Investor Carrot has what they call like a concierge program, where for a couple grand, they'll build you a custom site that's totally unique to you, so it doesn't look like anybody else's. I'm a big fan of them. I've actually done 2 of them now at this point. This one came into my old one, so it was one of their earlier builds, but can't be upset about it. This particular deal actually came through SEO. Bloomington, Indiana is an hour and a half away from where we're located in Indianapolis. Red flag 1, right? Like this could have been one of those, just because we can doesn't mean we should. Now I'm going to show you the numbers. We did make money on it, so I'm not upset for learning things and getting paid. It just, in hindsight, wasn't a good, return for the risk. And also, like, the velocity of capital here was super slow. There's easier ways to make what we made with what we had locked up. Now, on this particular deal, Call Porter did handle the initial intake and punch everything into the CRM. They didn't book an appointment for us because, well, it's not super close. We actually had to drive down and run this one with our local crew. One thing we do in Simply that's just kind of like a pro tip, I do like to pin like the important notes on it. And typically I'm including my link to original pictures, which I don't have on this one, and my analysis on the deal. So let's walk through what we thought was going to happen before we really got into this thing. So when we initially went out and looked at the property, we had that the houses in the area in general were just kind of all over the place. So it's an hour and a half outside of our comfort zone, and like huge fluctuation in values. Plus, this was right as interest started to get weird, or I guess worse. It was already weird. So we had on this one, upstairs, downstairs finished. Need a good bit of work to get it done. Looks to be right at like 2,900 square foot. So paint and flooring will be $20,000. New kitchen upstairs, $10K. Appliances, $3K. Trim, $2K. Rip out the old HVAC and stairwell, $3K. Make a new stairwell, make sure we have electrical and heat, $3K, bathroom, $8K, landscaping, $2K, all in for $58,000 was our projected budget. We had initially, and this was before we went under contract on the place, that we thought it was worth like $300K, which would have had our max allowable offer at $150. Now, we exceeded that by almost $30,000. So you could say, like, we broke our own rules. There were some red flags here. Now I'm going to show you the lending proposal that we shoot out to our lenders and walk you guys through like what our actual expectations were once we kind of got through all the due diligence on this place. So after speaking with a local agent, we were under the impression that the property would go for between $340,000 to $350,000. We had a purchase price of $180,000, an expected rehab of $70,000. And thought we'd be all in for $250K. We were going to pay the lender 8% interest plus 1 point. It's kind of my standard offering with the folks we invest with. And this is kind of the like pitch deck, if you will, that we send out to the folks we work with. We funded this place, both purchase and rehab, all costs carried to closing. And as you're going to see, they made more money than me. So let's hit the profit and loss statement first. So looking at the P&L here, We ended up selling the place for $316K net from title. That wasn't the offer. After paying everything off, we ended up at right at $16,000 in the bank profit. So would I risk $299 to make $16K? Hindsight being 2020, absolutely not. Now I can say we haven't lost due to the market, knock on wood. I'm going to do another video probably following this one on how we price our properties when we bring them to market to not end up in situations like we did on this particular deal. But let's hit the balance sheet now. So we had projected right at a $70K budget. I think when you add all of this up, we ended up coming in right at $67K. So we actually ended up a smidge under budget, which was pretty solid. What ended up killing us though were holding costs. So as you can see on here, we paid out almost $18K just in interest, not even getting into utilities, gas, water, insurance, all of that. So we ended up all into this particular property for $293,000. The $299 includes the commission that we would have paid our acquisitions manager on this deal. So we ended up all into it, I guess, technically for $299. We ended up pending at $325,000. So I'll show you guys kind of what happened with this thing. We ended up taking a lot longer than we wanted to get the property finished. Went live in January of 2024 and just kind of sat. Little price drops. Ended up pending in early June at $335. Was what we were listed at, I guess. The offer we'd accepted was for $325,000, which is what we did end up closing at. So outside of the agent we'd hired, expecting the property to sell for $340 to $350 and it not selling for $325, that was lesson number one. Remember, we'd done our own due diligence. And if we look back in Simply, we'd said that we thought we'd be in the $300 to $325 mark. So we were actually accurate. It was the kind of local expert that ended up missing a bit there. This is a little bit more of an art form than a science. I don't hold any resentment or anything there. I know I've been off on ARVs before, but the second thing we had that was a little bit unfortunate, right when our remodel completed, there was a rather large storm that took a tree down into the property across the street. And whether they could afford to fix it or didn't want to, they just kind of left it there leaning on the house. And that was pretty often feedback we got from showings of property is decent, pretty cute, but don't love the neighbors, makes it feel kind of a little trashy. And it ends up kind of being one of those just unfortunate things that are outside of our control. Now, would we have gotten more for it if that hadn't happened? I don't know, or if they'd cleaned it up. I don't have a crystal ball to go back into it, but overall on this deal, I'm going to give us a C. We were under budget, which I can't say that happens super often in real estate in my experience, but we way blew it on hold times and we blew it on the exit price. Now, it's worth notating here that even if we'd sold for way less money, we would have made our lender whole, even if it meant literally cutting him a check from our own personal pocketbook. I've personally never been late or missed a payment on any debt I've had ever. Definitely not going to start that trend with my private lenders. Quick little soapbox, but if you ever hear anybody pitch OPM or using other people's money in kind of this it lowers your risk way, run. I would never, ever, ever treat somebody else's hard-earned nest egg life savings flippantly. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this somewhat gnarly autopsy of a deal that in hindsight we probably shouldn't have done, but it is what it is. We made $15,000. The person we bought the house from was thrilled. The person that ended up moving into the property is thrilled. It's a win-win, okay, on our end. My name was Ryan Dossey. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe. Talk to you guys next time.